Well, we turn finally to the last unit, the 5th unit of our course on human destiny. This is a unit that covers the contemporary time period. We're beginning it in the beginning of the 1900s, and we're going to run through up to the present day. As with the previous units, I'm calling this by a specific name, but the name is a lot less descriptive, unfortunately, than the others. I'm calling it An Age in Search of Its Name. This unit is difficult to characterize because the contemporary period in which we're now living is difficult to precisely characterize. There's an old proverb that says, if you want to know what the water is like, don't ask the fish. And that's, of course, because the fish lives and moves and has its being within the water to such an extent that the nature of the water, the characteristics of it, sort of fade into the background. It becomes part of the white noise and then becomes unnoticed and unnoticeable. It's easier for us to look back through history, we who live in a different time period, and bring to the table a different set of assumptions, presuppositions, to look at different historical eras and to see how different they are from us. That enables us then to see the streams of thought and the cultural practices and commonalities that converge and diverge from one another in ways that allow us to kind of sew up a narrative about history. It's easy for us to see, in many cases, that at the end of different eras, you have a kind of gathering up, a synthesizing of what had come before into a kind of sometimes precarious architecture. So think of people like Thomas Aquinas or Immanuel Kant, who gathered up what came before them and presented a kind of tied up picture, which was supposed to answer the questions, provide the right method for the future, and so forth. Well, we can't do that in our own age precisely because we haven't come to the end of it yet. We don't even see a very sharp distinction between our own age and the what, for the purposes of this class, I've identified as the previous age, the age of cynicism and suspicion. What characterizes our own period so far forth is, I think, the fact that we keep swimming forward but away from one another. There are many different options on the table. There are very many different intellectual developments that seem not to be converging, but diverging from one another more and more. It's difficult to see how there will ever be a kind of synthesis of the philosophical, religious, cultural points of view that are now available to us all. So the period that we're going to work our way through is going to be more survey-ish, in a sense, than the other period. I have less of a story to tell that lends itself to a kind of natural resolution. We will, however, indicate the distinct streams of thought where we have landed so far forth within our history and what prospects there are into the future for understanding human destiny and human nature to the extent that we can anymore, given all of the attempts that have already been made.